DIY home projects have kicked into high gear here at our mountain homestead. Now that our garden is in and harvest is over, we have a little more time to devote to indoor projects. And if you've been following us a while, you know there are no lack of indoor projects here at our mountain homestead. When we bought this home, it was around 75%, although sometimes we debate a little less, finished. And we've been working hard to finish it in our spare time and as we have the money. It's been a slow going process for sure, but this is our dream home. And although I'm not gonna lie, there are days where the projects just seem grueling and like they're never going to end. Overall, there's not really a day that goes by that we don't thank God for bringing us to where He has.
Gonna let the sun shine in today.
These are the days where you can find me in one of two places, either homeschooling or working on the house. I'm about to call my husband in and surprise him. He knows that I've been painting the wall and he knows that it was gonna be black. We sat down a week ago and we started discussing and looking over ideas that we both liked for this room. I have been needing to repaint almost since I repainted the first time. I don't know what was wrong with the first batch of paint that I bought. It was a new brand that Walmart had just started carrying, so maybe it was just a bad can of paint, I really don't know. But the paint never really dried, it was always sticky. Like if I leaned up back here, since there's no headboard, my clothes and my hair would literally stick to the wall. Another problem was the wall was teal before, and I noticed that as more time went on, the teal started showing through the color of paint, and it was just starting to look really weird. So I've been wanting and thinking that I needed to repaint for quite some time, and I was going to repaint it like an off-white. But the problem that I kept running into in my mind was that this room is so bright. This room is one of the brighter rooms of the house. It starts like very early in the morning. This window that is right behind the camera, the sun shines in and it literally is like blinding first thing in the morning. So I put blackout curtains up and that kind of helped a little bit with that. But still the room is very, very bright and it just did not feel warm and inviting or relaxing. So I've been planning on changing it for a long time, but I wasn't sure what I was gonna do, and the white just wasn't sitting right with me. And I started seeing all these dark bedrooms. They really started jumping out to me. They were so beautiful to me, and all of the pictures I was seeing with the greens and the browns and the blacks were just, I loved the combinations. So I started showing my husband. He liked it. He also liked the combination of the black and the terracotta. We need to buy more blankets. It's cold in the winters here, and my daughter needs a new blanket, so I'm going to give her this white blanket. It's gonna look great in her room. And I got a new one for my husband and I. It's in the terracotta that he liked. It's not here yet, but I'm gonna tell him all about it. I also finally bought a bed frame. Some people have commented, some of you guys have commented as to why our bed's on the floor. Well, we need a bed frame. We've been needing a bed frame, and I finally found one. Again, Black Friday deal at discount. So I'm excited about that. I'm seriously in love with how this room turned out. I think it's my favorite room in the entire house now. I could not be happier with, especially the corner with my chair over there. Oh, you guys, I just love it, and I can't wait for my husband to come in and see. He knows I painted the wall, and he knows I was changing some things up, but he hasn't seen it yet. So I'm gonna call it.
Thank
you.
I've got too much spinach.
What do you think?
I haven't cut my hair since I walked through the door. It's never been quite this long before. Taking some time to get all settled in, and I'm the happiest I've ever been.
On this wall, I have some special art that I purchased through Etsy, but also a map full of Estes Park, where we were married. And right over here, I have the poem my husband proposed to me with. That was 20 years ago, but in many ways it seems like just yesterday. Speaking of marriage, I was asked not very long ago by one of you lovely subscribers how to keep a marriage strong on a budget. So while I work on the projects in this video, I thought I'd answer that question. I definitely have some experience, actually a lot of experience in that area. I'm going to start out with painting this $9 cabinet. We needed a cabinet for shoes in our basement. I just happened to find this at the Goodwill for $9 and I'm restoring it while we talk about keeping the marriage strong on a budget. I think sometimes those of us that struggle financially get it in our minds that money would solve all of our problems. But if we look at the news and we just open up the newspaper or look online, we see all these people that are multimillionaires and they're going through a divorce. Money does not break-proof a marriage. At the same time though, if you're struggling to survive and all you can really focus on is making sure you can meet the next month's payments, it's kind of hard to think about anything else. In addition to that, responsibilities and to-do lists can seem to have a way of hijacking quality of life, to be honest. For example, as a homemaker, as a homeschool mom, and as now a homesteading mom, I live where I work. All of these things considered, as you can imagine, or maybe you don't have to imagine because this is like your story too, it can be extremely difficult to put the brakes on and stop and smell the roses. But it's triple hard if you're also living in a house that always has projects happening that you're still working to finish. Maybe your situation doesn't entail that, maybe it entails something else. But my point is that things can make a person feel like they need to keep going. They can't stop. They can't stop and spend quality time with their spouse. But you guys, that is exactly what you do need to do. I would like to emphasize though, you do not have to get away on these like weekly date nights that we've been told are so critical to marriage. You don't have to even leave the house. I did an article a few years back on my blog about how you can create a date night right at home, even with the kids around. Something that a lot of parents don't realize is how important it is to children to see their parents in a healthy, loving, strong relationship. So one thing we started doing a few years back was having at-home dates. The kids will pick a movie they want to watch or an activity that they want to do that they don't need us for. And my husband and I will make a point to take some quality time out for each other. But it's common knowledge and it's definitely no secret that quality time for couples together, alone time, is really critical. Okay, you guys, I just have to explain what's happening in these scenes. I am finally getting a dream come true. Tile, backsplash. I got this tile over a year ago. I got it shortly after we got the stove, and I've had this tile all this time, and I've just been biting at the bit, excited to have this installed, and my husband is finally getting to it. I am so excited. My husband's a carpenter and he works full time, so that makes it a real challenge finishing our home in the process. Weekends are always bustling around here, so believe me when I say we know how hard it can be to put the brakes on sometimes. Something that I have noticed in marriage is that the more stressful life is, the harder it is to stop and take quality time out for each other, but the more important it is. In these scenes, we are doing a little bit more painting in some of the kids' rooms. So when we moved in, we had initially planned to have all the walls painted, but we had some major setbacks that put us about a year behind on things like the floors and obviously the bedrooms. So we are just now getting to finishing up some of the painting in the bedrooms. Do you guys need organizational type bins for up there? Okay. You could hang a picture over those wires, those weird wires over there. What's that?
I don't know.
Even the girls are getting in on some painting. They're painting their dollhouse. It's all fine and dandy to talk about putting the brakes on and being intentional and purposefully spending quality time together. But what does that look like in action? I think it's different for everybody. It depends on the type of person you are, whether you're a spontaneous person or if you like to be a little more planned out. I personally am not a spontaneous person, and when I try to be, usually it results in anxiety for me. So I like to be a little more detailed and planned out. For myself, that looks like planning ahead. For example, my husband is home on the weekends. He's always home on the weekends. And so I know that I won't be able to relax and have quality time with him, that is truly quality time, if the house is trashed. So I like to get the house cleaned up to a certain extent on Thursday and Friday. As you saw in the beginning of this video, I just redid our bedroom. Something I learned a long time ago is that having an oasis, a place where you can escape with your spouse from the noise, from all the hustle and bustle and busyness, is really important, especially if you're a homemaker and you live where you work. Having a place that you can escape to and get away to that is not full of like dirty laundry and clothes that need to be folded and things like that is extremely helpful. You might be asking why I didn't just paint these walls the colors that I wanted them when we moved in. There was two reasons. One of them was simply that the walls needed an odor barrier. The walls just badly needed to be sealed with paint. So my main objective was just to get these walls covered in paint to help with some of the odors. The other reason is because I thought I wanted them white. After living in the home for a while and realizing I have never lived in a space this big, I realized the white in some places was just a bit overbright. So as I have had time to live in the home and see how the light falls, it's given me a better idea of areas where some color would be smart.
Some people try to get by if you don't have a reason. It's hard to make it all worthwhile. 'Cause what I've got.
So this office is finished. I still have just a little bit of cutting in to do. I've been needing to do that for over a year now. One of these days I will get to that, but for the most part the office is completed, and goodness sakes, it sure is a place of industry for our whole family. This is where all the magic for this channel happens, well, half the magic. And it's where the kids do a lot of their schooling that is online, so a lot of math and some language arts happens in here. Next up, I have a couple interesting projects. All right, you can see this curtain is hanging too low to the ground. I have it attached up here with a shower curtain rod, and I cannot set it up any higher because the sinks are blocking it. So for a year now, I have been looking for these strange little curtain attachment devices that I did not know what they were called, so I didn't know what to search for. Hence why it took me a year to find them. Well, I finally found them. They're called Zinc plated steel wire extension springs. Okay, yes, that is a mouthful. And the name explains why it took me so long to find them. Anyways, I finally happened to find them, and I was so excited because I have been wanting to fix this curtain area for quite some time and make it so the curtain wasn't dragging on the floor. By the way, this is like a little spare bonus kitchen that we have, and we've been using it as a farm kitchen. Our chickens aren't laying right now, they're molting, but most of the time this is where we process the eggs that come in from our chickens. As I work on these next projects, I'll share a couple more ways that my husband and I have found to be a stronger couple even when things are super duper tight. One of them is very obvious. I think everybody probably knows this, but I'll mention it anyways. It's to not make big purchases without talking it over first. Also, not to make big purchases if both are not on board with it. And this actually goes for more than just purchases. This goes for all major decisions. My husband and I have both learned the hard way that it's a mutual thing. If we don't listen to each other, it could end up very badly down the road. Another thing that I think has helped us remain close, even through really hard times, is it's a little personal. And I think that, again, this is one of those things that could be different for everybody, but it's by a daily, tender, loving touch. We have found that a morning hug and a morning kiss goodbye and a hug goodbye, and then a hug when we see each other at the end of the day, it really seems to make a big difference in helping us to feel close. The last thing that I know makes a really big difference for us is to not let things fester. I saw a quote the other day that I thought was really good, and it said that a successful marriage is made up of two people that are really good at forgiving. And this leads me to the devotional portion of this video. Now, this is something that can go beyond marriage, of course. This can go in all relationships, and oh my gosh, what a better world it would be if we follow this advice. But it's Ephesians 4:26 and 27. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil. When we let things fester, we're going directly against what the scriptures say to do when we're offended. And we give bitterness an opportunity to take root. And when that happens, it is kind of like a poison that slowly kills off love and relationships. And so one of the things that my husband and I have really worked and had to work hard on is, if we have a disagreement, to not part angrily, not part before work or, before we go to bed, to not part on bad terms. Because we've learned that if we do, it makes it harder to have a meeting of the minds later, and it really does give bitterness a place to take root. Another project I'm going to be doing is installing these tiles. So I want to protect the back of the sink from water splatter and water damage, and we can't afford to get tiles, so I figured I need to put something up here to keep it kind of protected from all the water, and I figured that this would do the trick. When I ordered this last spring, and I've had it all of this time, I partially did not install it because we have our garden outside, and I didn't have time because of the gardening and all of the harvest and everything to do with, growing season. But the other reason I didn't install it is because the whole thing kind of intimidated me. It was a little easier than I thought it was going to be. I think I would have done it sooner if I realized it was as easy. I also might have done it sooner if I had realized you can actually take these off and reapply them if you do it wrong the first time. There's a couple that I probably should reapply. I'm not going to say it was easy. Drawing that strike line through down on the bottom definitely helped a lot. I'm sure there's probably better ways to apply this than the way that I did it, but I'm overall happy with the results. And the main idea was to just protect this wall back here from all the water splatter and make it so it would be very easy to clean. And so we've accomplished that. Eventually, when the kids start moving out, we've got less mouths to feed and more money. We'll probably do it right, but for now it's fine. last project was I switched out this corner in our living room. So the pieces that were here before did not offer enough organization. They were industrial. The whole space over here looked messy all of the time and not very well put together since the pieces didn't fit well into the space. It had been bothering me for quite some time. Well, one day, a sweet acquaintance tipped me off to a rummage sale happening just down the road from my house. She knew that I had been wanting one of these rattan shelves, so she let me know. I went down there and that's when I found this shelf and the chair. You guys, I was ecstatic because it was all by donation only, and I was just tickled because there was no way I could afford them brand new. But I've been wanting both for 3 years, and I absolutely love the living room space now. It feels organized, it feels cozy. Definitely, it reflects the boho vibe that I love. Best of all, we needed more organization in the office, and I was able to take the pieces that were in the living room and put them in the office where they look much more in place. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching to the end.